Audio Jungle.
Greetings, folks, and welcome to another quick wet shaving tip with your pal, Douglas Smythe. Hi. I'm not going to be really on camera today because this is going to be a quick wet shaving tip. I did this to really supplement a tutorial I talked about, or a tip I gave on our recent podcast, episode number 43 of the Mustache and Blade Show, to be in fact. This is all about shimming. So, a lot of the time, well, not necessarily a lot of the time, but you'll find a razor that may be, something you chased, the holy grail in your mind, only to find out once you received it that it really wasn't doing the job for you. It wasn't aggressive enough. But rather than trade it or give it away, I'd like to suggest you try something first, which is shimming. And you may have heard about shimming before, especially if you've been around the block a few times in the wet shaving world, or you may be new to that and wonder what the hell I'm talking about. Well, regardless of which you are, I hopefully will be bringing a couple new tips to this table, in fact, today. So, please, follow me, give me a little of your time, and I'll try to make this quick. So, if you are a noob and you don't know what shimming is, I will demonstrate. Okay, this is how it was typically and traditionally done. You will simply, this would be your new blade that you're going to shave with, and this would be the razor that you think needs shimming. You want to first cut off, you can see that, the sharp edge of a used blade. You can also use a vintage blade too, which I like to use as well because they were made a little bit thicker back in the day as opposed to nowadays where they're much thinner. It's good to have some shimming options. Sometimes you'll find that one shim might not work. You might need to stack two depending on the substrate you're using, and if the substrate is always modern blades, that might be the reason why you have to stack them. So there is our shim, folks. Simple as that. You would put your new blade in, like so. Add the shim down there. And you're probably wondering what the hell is going on here. Well, what is going on here is we're giving or creating more of a blade gap here, making this razor more aggressive thanks to that little shim right there, just lifting it up ever so slightly, but just enough that you will definitely feel a difference on your face. So that is classically how you would shim a razor. Now this works for 3 pieces as well as fixed base designs like so. See that? So that's fixed there. If you have a red eclipse, there'll be a divot in here, so you don't want to cut these shims too thin, else they'll fall in between this divot there and they won't really be doing anything. So keep that in mind on certain models. So where does the innovation begin? It begins right here first, so, folks. I've just recently, this is like a new thing, is in different towns, they'll drop off these boxes at your house with like 50 of these coupon cards that places around town accept. I've never seen this before until I moved to Arizona, but apparently they do this all over the world now. Don't throw these out, even if they're for, this is for, a lot of these places are for stuff happening in Tucson, which is, 45 minutes to an hour away from me. Probably won't ever use them. I'm not going to recycle them, however. I am going to reuse them. So what I save these for is creating plastic shims. And these are great because now they're reusable. They stick out, they stand out more than the cut blade. A lot of the times blades come with a little bit dabs of glue, rubber cement on them. In fact, if you see that on a blade, that's a high quality blade. Those are great. They put that on the blades so when it's wrapped in its packaging, it stays in place and doesn't rub against the sides, dulling the blade. So if you see, a lot of people complain about the glue on there, but I'm telling you, glue means high quality when it comes to a blade. But one side effect when using a shim is it'll stick to the glue. So you'll end up recycling or throwing both these in the blade bank without even thinking twice. Now when you use a plastic shim, it obviously sticks out and you're not going to throw that in the blade bank. So that's another great reason to create reusable shims, plastic. So we'll be using a credit card, old credit card, or one of these gift cards. These are great because they don't have the embossed numbers like on a credit card, but a lot of modern credit cards don't have those embossed numbers anymore anyways. So if you want to reuse one of those, great. And the width of these is very nice, and you can really, if I stack this with this, it gives me more height and a greater blade exposure on the razor. This is another material we'll be using. This is from a yogurt container. You can also use a butter one. Pretty much anything, once you start doing this, becomes a possible material to be used for shimming. Now, let me just grab a pen. And you'll find that. So here we go. Another thing you can do is look for a cool design like this, if it's all about aesthetics, as it is with me, and trace out your pattern. I recommend using a Sharpie, not a water-based marker as I am right now. This just was the closest thing at hand. It's true, what you will need is a Sharpie, hole punch, and scissors. Scissors that you don't mind destroying, or just giving the job of blade cutting to for the rest of their existence. So again, that was done with a water-based marker, not the right one, but I know the pattern by now. Now since I did use a water-based marker, it will rub away, so I'm going to use the hole punch before then. Otherwise, I don't know. I'll be rubbing away marker when I try to do it if I cut too much. So, bam, bam, bam. Kind of just winging this now because I've pretty much rubbed away all the marker. You'll see more marker on my my fingers than you will on this. Okay, so this is a fast job. Normally you would take your time really doing this, but here we go. Toss your blade in there. Toss in your shim. Oh, you know what though? I'm using the wrong one. See, these have the slots jutting out. So for that, I would need to create slots in this. But luckily, most razors don't use the slot system anymore. Look at that gap. You see that? So that's going to make this far more aggressive. Far more aggressive. And yeah, so that makes a really excellent substrate. Again, if I was thinking properly, I would have traced, instead of doing the dots for that razor. So yeah, again, another thing to keep in mind is it going to be the slots or not, or the dots? So I would have traced the line here instead, and I would cut a line in here. You could still use the dots just to get in there. Or I'm sorry, you could still use the hole punch just to get in there. And then just... So this isn't gonna look pretty. There's another option too. It's just two holes on top of each other. And voila. So this would work like so. Blade first. Shim. Wow, look at that. I've never tried that with the double open comb. But there you go, folks. There is some serious gap. This will make this a far more aggressive shaver, or any other razor out there. And lastly, we would now take our pattern and do the same thing on our butter lid or yogurt lid or whatever lid we choose to use. Oops. Okay. And now they don't have to be pretty, they just have to be effective. And we go back in there before we do the complete cut out, punch the holes so we have something to grab onto so we don't smudge the marker. And I'm going in there and I'm shaping it really nicely, or more consistent with the actual pattern, but you need not do that, especially if you're only going to use these once. It could just be a rectangular shape like that. And again, toss the blade in there. There's the pattern. So again, that's a fast job, nothing too pretty. You see it overextends there. But if I was going to keep this and keep reusing it, I would trim it up, make it look nice, streamline it. But see, that thinner plastic, the thinner plastic gives it just enough of a gap to really bite onto. So that's that, folks. That's pretty much how you create a shim for a fixed base plate or a 3-piece razor. I hope I answered all your questions. So until next time, this is Douglas Smythe signing off from another quick wet shaving tip. See you soon. Cheers.